What's going on, YouTube? Zach is back. Here we are once again in my new abode, playing some more Pokemon Unite. Today I've got some Latias gameplay for you again, a Pokemon I've played a lot of recently and a lot of on my channel in general. And a bit of confession to make right now, I think. Officially, Latias seems to be my new favorite Pokemon at the moment. It's been performing well for me in ways that Eldegoss hasn't, and I'll explain why over the course of this video. As well as just talking about Latias in general and everything else. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. I really appreciate it. You may also notice, by the way, that I'm recording this video slightly differently. I recorded it live when I played it, so you get all my camera movements and everything else like that. And then I'm talking over the gameplay afterwards. So, hands-free, the game is playing. So here my teammate was AFK for all the beginning, which is usually not very good. But we'll just talk about things that I'm capable of doing. So against a Pokemon like Mamoswine, and that's any melee Pokemon in general, your main asset as Latias in your laning stage is that you're a ranged Pokemon. By the way, don't blind check bushes, you will die 99% of the time. This is the 1% though where I didn't die. And I decided instead we're going to fall back and farm. But against Pokemon like Mamoswine, I just want to keep my distance. You saw me snipe the last hit against him, and you saw why you want to keep the distance by me walking into that bush and what happened after that. Here I sort of make the decision that my lane partner isn't very bright because he's not going for the contested farm. Guys, go for the contested farm. It's just the smartest thing to do. Yep, I mute him right away. That's just my habit when I have a teammate who's not playing well. I mute him as soon as possible. That way his communications just don't cloud my focus to any small extent. Yeah, and that guy just like, don't stand in the open either when your mid is in the bush. You want to usually stand next to your mid to help him out. There you see a bit of toxicity by me, just a little bit, in pinging my teammate, but I think it was well deserved, and then he's still pathetically under-leveled, and he just fed them again. In any case, when you're having a rough lane, sometimes the best thing to do is to rotate somewhere else, get something done where you can. And I decided to come mid because obviously there's Natu's mid. And on this new map, there's lots of farm in lots of places, so don't be afraid to just walk somewhere else where there might be farm. When it comes to a situation like that where there's Baltoys potentially on both sides, I like to farm the one closer to the enemy side first if I can, depriving them of it because that'll be the easiest one for them to access. And if that was not available, obviously do your own, or vice versa. Here I'm doing this because it's up and no one else is doing it, but I also want to wait for this thing to walk bottom. Instead, this guy's just blindly hitting it with the Empoleon there. Again, don't do this, guys. A lot of don't do thises in this video. Maybe that'll be the title, don't do this. Maybe not, who knows. Anyway, I'm trying to time the last hit here, but it's really difficult against Empoleon because of his burst damage. It's a lot better than mine at this stage of the game. I have to read him quite a bit if I'm going to be able to get the up on him. And of course, because of the healing he has from Whirlpool, he can't really do much. Yep, and I'm just going to mute that guy right away for basically giving them a free Regidrago. Just not excusable. So I've said this before on stream, but a little fun thing you do with Latias against Greninja is you can actually farm his clones for Eon stacks. Like if your thing hits those, it counts those as players. So keep that in mind as you're playing against a Pokemon like Greninja. Even if you can't kill him, sometimes just getting some stacks is still good, right? Once you get Mistball, of course, these Pokemon like Greninja are way less good. Easy to sidestep his thing. And eventually my guy does notice him and throws Solar Beam my way, and we easily pick him off. So Sableye is a Pokemon a lot of people struggle against, or really seem to hate. In my experience, it's a really terrible Pokemon in solo queue lobbies, because it usually requires coordination to be good. The best thing you can do in Sableye is ignore him, basically, so that's what I've been doing this game. Like, and I thought to say something there, because with the objective, my thought was, okay, well, Sableye can't outlast hit all three of us, so I'll just play here and make sure he doesn't get it. With my guy backing me up, I decided to play a little more aggressively again. But the Greninja by now has gone somewhere else. Although, something I just realized actually while recording this is that if I record the gameplay and then just talk over the replay, you don't get to see where their team is at throughout the game, which is interesting. So most of my teammates had to go home to that, unfortunately, which is kind of annoying, but we still get that. And I decided that here they're not showing after we score, so I'm just going to start hitting the objective. And they have to come contest us, and they're not. So, yeah, we're just going to get it. That's always nice as well. If you can snipe that last hit, it does get you 2 Eon stacks, but obviously that's much less important than just getting the objective. As I talked about in my guide, of course, Latios' ult is pretty subpar in my experience. It's very difficult to get to work. I sort of cheekily took a hit just so I could make sure I could steal his berry. But unfortunately, trying to pick up all the points meant that I picked up the Sableye fake points and was taking damage over time and couldn't score. So we missed some overcap there, which is a little unfortunate. But again, not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, pretty much as soon as I can get that ult off on someone, I usually like to try to do it because it's a difficult ult to get off in most cases. Although we've definitely overstayed our welcome by this point, especially because it's 5 minutes. They have their jump pad. Yep. So in a situation like this, where you know you're dead, something that I tend to do these days is walk into the enemy. The reason being, after they kill you, they're going to want to go do something else on the map, right? Whether that's farming, whether that's fighting your team, whether it's doing objectives. So if you make them walk further out to wherever they're going afterwards, it's just annoying, right? So basically, if I walk toward their base, like, the logical conclusion, the furthest I can get is to their base, and they have to walk back really far or use their jump pad to get somewhere. Obviously, I'm not going to get that far, but anywhere in between where I die and there is usually pretty good, right? You can make them have to walk a lot further. Here I'm just sort of poking for farm if there is any, and Eon stacks because I know they have to defend this. And the best way to get Eon stacks on both Latios and Latias is by fighting, so I'm just going to play where they're at, and if it looks too dangerous, I'm going to get out. This guy uses his ult at a pretty early time. But luckily, we're able to capitalize off of it nicely and kill the Pikachu as well. With the Empoleon there, we can't quite push this thing in yet, but we're able to drive him back enough that the Regieleki will start walking again. Although I don't think I live here. Yeah. But we did get the KO. The Manmo is going to defend that quite nicely, I do believe. Oh yeah, Pikachu shows up too. We are cooked. This Scizor was a really annoying character in my estimation this entire game. He spent a lot of time fighting, and yeah, he got that KO there, but it felt like a lot of times he was fighting fights that weren't really necessary or helpful. I feel like a lot of times players will have this thing where they'll fight a lot and they'll like end up winning more than they lose in their team fights, and they're like, wow, look at this, I dealt so much damage, I got so many KOs, but it's like, what do those fights accomplish is always the question in my book, you know? And it's not nothing. I mean, he gets XP and, you know, points. But at the same time, I don't think it's... How do I put it? I would rather work as a team than just get solo kills on the map. Luckily, we were able to get the objective there, even though I wasn't there. Originally, my plan was when I spawned, was just to farm Eon stacks in jungle, but I sort of overstayed and was doing other stuff for a while. But anyway, we're going to farm these up here, because these are always really good Eon stacks and solo XP. As I said in the guide, 50 and 75 are your best thresholds to keep in mind for Groudon. 50 is sort of a low ball in my opinion. 75 is really like where you start to feel your damage output in team fights. Because I do see my teammate running from someone over here, I decide to go and join him closely. But I don't want to overkick of anything. It's 2:26. Groudon respawning soon, we don't want to die. And accordingly, I will just go back to base here, and look at that, the things I farmed earlier are back up, so I'm just going to go farm them again, get my 13, get some more Eon stacks. We did patch the 75 threshold, so until we get to 100, we're not gaining anything off of Eon stacks anymore. But it is still nice to put yourself in a position where you have more, because you're getting it to 100 sooner in that case, so it might help in the team fight sooner. My Empoleon starts to hit pretty early, which I think is pretty rash, but since we're forcing the situation, you have to commit. So here we are, committing. By the way, Mist Ball is really, really good against Pokemon like Pikachu, who's heavily rely on burst damage, because you just chop their burst damage down, and they can't do much by then. Okay, so my pathing here was really, really bad. I don't want to comment on that, besides saying that. Pay attention to where you're going, don't just walk into walls, you'll take a longer time to get to where you're going. But the most important thing I was going to say is that Groudon, you gotta play together. That Venusaur didn't play together, died by himself. Gave them a buff, that's never good. And look, here we're now splitting off just to score, and as a result, look at that, Latias is dying. Here our wonderful Cinderace is missing his Pyro Balls. I do believe he does give this, yeah, gives it to the Empoleon here. As you can see, I was not too happy about that. But we are up, so if we can defend, we can win. So my thought process here is let's just play for the defense as best we can. And in a situation like this, where your whole team is up, you might have a hard time deciding which goal zone to go to. In my experience, it's good to have at least one person sitting at both. However, from there, you want to pick basically on where you think your need will be most needed. I saw our Empoleon who was low going bottom, and their opponent was chasing him before, so I thought, okay, it's a really strong, because their guy's buff still, right? He's high HP, and our guy's buff but low HP. It's a really volatile situation, so I want to be there for that, was my thought. And then thereafter, I wanted to keep playing there, because Sableye was showing down there, and as you saw, I just turned away, and then his ult didn't do anything, so he's definitely one of those Pokemon that is very easy to counter, not too much to worry about once you know how to play against him. And here I just keep going back and then jumping out because I don't want them to be able to score anything at the last second. Here you see me throw my Dragon Pulse, so it didn't come out in time, but I would have killed him. 102 stacks, by the way, not bad at all. But yeah, that'll be that. I'll leave it here for the... Oh. I want to see the score. Ah, whatever. Whatever. We won. That was the important part. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Oh, I was gonna talk about why I've been enjoying Latias more than Eldegoss lately. And I think the biggest reason, as we saw throughout that game, is Latias is really good at playing a mid-range in the same way that Eldegoss is. The biggest difference, though, is that Latias... How do I put it? Okay, so first of all, in Latias, you're not throwing your healing projectile to deal damage. You can Dragon Pulse them, and then you also still heal, which is really, really nice. On top of that, though, Latias has a natural scaling with Eon stats, where your damage in the late game improves drastically, whereas Eldegoss doesn't really have anything like that. You can kill stack, and that's really good, and that's what I do on Eldegoss, but it's not quite the same thing as what Latias gets. So if you've been struggling on any support Pokemon that play that mid-range, or you just want to try a Pokemon that has a good early game and mid game and a really great late game if you're scaling well with Eon stacks, then yeah, give it a try. Hopefully this video shows you how to get Eon stacks. You want to be fighting and zapping the enemies as much as possible. Farming gets you there some, but the way I see it, every time you zap an enemy, you get 2 Eon stacks. When you zap farm, you only get Eon stacks when you last hit. So do keep that in mind. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Like I said before, do all the things. Like, comment, subscribe. I always really appreciate it. I truly appreciate your support. If you're watching this the day it goes live, I might be streaming tonight, so click that Twitch link in the description. Come say hi. And, yeah. Oh, my video froze on here? That's awkward. Okay, well, anyway, goodbye.